Welcome to Super Nickendo's Unscripted podcast. This is episode number 7. This is on the second channel of Super Nicktendo, the Super Nicktendo Freemium channel. So if you are a first-time watcher or listener and you want to hear future episodes, this is a weekly podcast. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of March. Can we do it? Let's see. Basically, this podcast is just a podcast for me to, talk about certain topics that I have going on that I find interesting, including like some behind the scenes stuff of what I'm working on the main channel. So if, that's something that you're interested in, feel free to stick around. Today we're going to go over like what I picked up for the week, what I'm working on for the next main channel episode. I'm going to be selling my games again, and then we're going to talk about the community guideline strike that I got from YouTube. So be sure to stick around for that. That's something that I've been wanting to talk about for a bit here, and it's finally kind of settled. So without further ado, let's get into the game pickups of the week. So it's actually not necessarily, I don't know if you want to consider them pickups or not, but like it's just kind of like a bunch of pre-orders that I had pre-ordered for a while. One of the things being that Nixie GameCube style Switch controller. So if you haven't seen this thing, it looks like a wave bird, and the thing is heavy as heck. Like it's ridiculous because it carries 2 batteries in each one, because you can turn it into a Joy-Con. And so you can essentially turn your Switch into like one of these little GameCube style controllers, and I thought it was a pretty cool thing. And apparently I haven't really tried it out yet because I'm still waiting on the controllers to actually charge up, because when you get them shipped, they're pretty much dead anyway. So once that's done, I'll probably give a little bit of a review. I'm not sure, like I'll probably do a review on this channel or something like that, because I'm trying to figure out like more extra content to put on this channel that's not gonna be too taxing on me creatively, but like also keep my content flowing, just to keep me on track. I also but I mean, it looks really premium. It came in a nice premium box, but it's kind of a weird thing because it has 2 USB-C connectors, so you can't charge it, and they only gave you 1 cable, so you need 2 cables to charge it, or you can charge it on your Switch, I believe, unless that doesn't happen. But yeah, again, stay tuned for that review. I also picked up, I also got in the mail my Castlevania collection for the Switch from Limited Run Games. So that's great, finally. Like, I think, when did I put in an order for that? I have to check for sure, but this is pretty much going to be my last purchase from Limited Run Games. Like, after I made that video, I really had no real desire to go back and pay. I think, I did. The order was back in June of 2022. So, and it just showed up now. So, I mean, it's, a little bit over 6 months, 9 months, I think. And, which is better than some of them, because like some of them they take a year to be fulfilled, and it's just a royal pain in the butt. But yeah, I mean, like I really just don't have any desire to order from Limited Run anymore because of just the shenanigans that they've pulled and everything. And like, they're not even a company that's owned by individuals anymore. It's owned by a bigger company. So like, how much of the company is actually like an indie company that cares about like actually like the specific games that they're printing and stuff. I mean, the writing was on the wall for a very long time, but the one thing that really set me off though is that Monkey Island, there's a new Monkey Island. It's called Return to Monkey Island. And I have the Monkey Island Anthology, which is this huge box and everything. And it, so they're selling an upgrade kit, and they're like, oh, you can get the upgrade kit and everything. And it comes with like, it's by far the most insulting thing that they could offer too, because one, this upgrade kit was printed wrong too. Like somebody had pointed out a while back, they're like, yeah, FYI, like the Monkey Island like titles they're out of order, they're not in the correct order, and it doesn't look like they're in the correct order on this corrected sleeve either. But for $60, get a load of this. $60, you get a little key, tchotchke, this little postcard, and the game on a digital thing. So the problem is that the anthology specifically came with discs. And so this one doesn't come with a disc. And also on top of that, none of this stuff is probably going to fit into the anthology collection either. So like, what's the point? Like, I don't know. Like, but you can get the Return to Collect Monkey Island Collector's Edition for PC for $90, which comes with a physical version of the game and everything. Like, I don't know. Like, that's kind of the thing. Is it's a very, you know, it's they don't care about continuity or collecting or anything like that. Like, you could like argue that they were never about preserving physical games, but like they can't even like keep continuity among their collector's editions right either. So that's disappointing. So, Contra collection, that's my last one. I'm not really too keen on adding any more unless they, for some magic miracle reason, like get like Little Samson or something like that reprinted or something like it. That's probably the only thing that I would consider buying after that. And let's see here, 2 more things. So I got Pistol Whip for PlayStation VR 2. Now it's kind of thing, they're starting to come out with physical versions of PlayStation VR 2 titles, and I really don't have a desire to buy them, but I'm comfortable doing digital for VR titles. But Pistol Whip, if you guys haven't played it yet, it's been out for a while. It's not necessarily new to the PlayStation VR 2, but this game is fun. It's one of my favorite games right now to play. It's kind of in the similar vein of Beat Saber and like any other music rhythm game, except it's like shooting. So you're in like this, it's kind of like Lethal Enforcers in a sense, like it's arcade shooting style where you kind of move down a track and everything. It's like on rails, and these like little bots and stuff, like they come out and you shoot them. But the catch is that you shoot them based off of the beat of this music. So like how when you're watching like a movie trailer or something, and they like do the shoot and it's like on the beat of the music track, it's kind of like that. So at first you're kind of like, well, I'm just gonna shoot and everything, and sometimes you get it on the beat, sometimes you don't. But like when you start to replay it, then you start to get an idea of like where the enemies are going to come out at and stuff, and then you can like listen to the music and like wait for them to move in a certain way, and then you can like line them up, and there's different guns that you can get and customize. It's a lot of fun, and it's only $25, and like I've gotten a ton of time out of it. Like it's one of my favorite games to just kind of just like pick up and play, like during my lunch break or something. I just buy I just jump in and like play like 2 or 3 tracks, and like the only problem is that I'm like just drowned in sweat. Like it's just like ridiculous. But I mean, it's still a lot of fun, and I highly recommend if you have any VR headset to pick it up. But it's a lot of fun. And now the last thing that I got here was the Movie Making Nerd, the autobiography by James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd. And The cool thing about my copy is that it's signed by James. It's 138 of 200. And, I'm excited to actually give this a read. I know that, there's a whole community that doesn't necessarily like what James does anymore and everything. And, people have like kind of said that the channel has kind of gone downhill and stuff. And maybe I'll comment on that down the line or something. But I'm excited to just give this book a read. It's just like looking at it and stuff. It'll be pretty interesting to see like what his thought process is as a filmmaker, and certain things that he's dealt with as far as like his personal effects and stuff that has affected his life and everything. It's always interesting to read certain autobiographies by people that you find interesting, just because like it's a reflection of them, and it'll be interesting. I'll definitely once I finish it, I'll give a review of it. Let me know if you got the book and if you've heard it or anything like that. Next topic here, what I'm working on for the next Super Nicktendo episode. Wow. So good news is that the stats of the Super Nicktendo videos are doing much better than what the last podcast was. But so the idea that I've been working out in my head, I've been talking about this thing, is to make evergreen content for the channel. Basically to prop up Super Nicktendo as a tentpole and get more and more people into the channel, and then say, hey, in addition to this, you can, like, it's adjacent content to say, here's the retronomic stuff, because the retronomic stuff doesn't really like get a lot of people into it. Like, maybe I'm just doing it wrong for SEO or something like that, but I like doing that content, but the problem is that I can't be continuing to do that content and not actually grow my channel. Like, I know that I don't necessarily care about subscribers, but like, I also care about YouTube as a hobby, and part of that hobby is to grow your channel. And I'm always going to be appreciative of the current subscribers that I have, and that's one of the reasons why I continue to grow and cater that content towards the existing audience, but also I want to maintain and build the audience as well. So the GameCube video, the buyer's guide, has been doing really good. It's getting like 100 views a day, which is really good as far as like keeping eyeballs on my channel, and also like just turning that subscriber number up, because they're seeing it and they're saying, hey, like, I'm also interested in retro video game prices. Maybe I'll just check it out. So the next video is going to be about the Wii U. I decided to go with the Wii U. One, because there's not that many variants as compared to the GameCube, so there's not that much research. But also the eShop is shutting down for good at the end of the month. So one last push of the Wii U to kind of take advantage of like that heightened search progress and everything, to get everything out of the way. But that the video is pretty much all written. I just need to wait for the replacement adapter to come in so I can shoot some more B-roll. I realized as I was like getting out my Wii U that the power supply, the wires had been frayed, and so as much as like I'm pretty sure it would be fine, I don't want to ruin my Wii U, or just burn my house down. Like, that would be the worst. But I mean, I think that buyer's guides are a good staple for the channel. So I mean, that's probably what I'm gonna do, is like do some buyer's guides, and then like also like use that to build off more videos and stuff, and like keep my channel growing that way. And then also like to make sure that I'm giving content that other people would like to see, that are already subscribed, and keep them entertained too, to grow my channel. So okay, so the next topic is I'm I'm selling off my games. Not all of them, but I kind of like got another round of games that I think that I could part with. And I think that this will hopefully be like the last purge, I guess. Like, I don't really want to call it a purge, but I have basically, like, I'm not necessarily like done collecting. It's just that some of the games, like I mentioned this last time, like that I have just like decided that like I my collection just grew so fast that I didn't have time to actually like pay attention to see what would be a good addition to the collection, if that makes sense. And so when you come across these games for like, $3 or $4, like anything at like thrift stores, when people were just giving them away, you just added them to your collection, because it's like there's no way, like, maybe if I don't want to play it now, but maybe in the future I want to play it and it'll be too expensive for me to buy, which is kind of like what's happening now. Is like, if you PK in the universe, he sent me a video. This guy, his name is Retro Collectors, and he sold off his entire video game collection. And basically what he did was he started out just buying as a he wanted to get a complete Dreamcast set, and like he just got to the point where he's just like, nope, I don't want to buy it anymore because it's gotten too expensive, and like there was other things that I wanted to collect and now that's too expensive. And like, I don't think I would ever get to that point where I just like sold everything. I mean, there have been times where I just got really overwhelmed with collecting or just cleaning my room and stuff and just finding all this stuff. I'm like, just get it out. Like, I don't need all of these PlayStation 2 games. I've never, it's been a very long time since I powered on the PlayStation 2. Like, I could just stand to get rid of them. Or, certain games like RPGs are just not my speed, and like those are the ones that are kind of expensive, so I might actually just like get rid of those too. But again, like, I don't know, like it's one of those things when you walk through it, it's like you really in your head you're like, oh, I could just get rid of it. You add it all up, and like the amount of money that you see on the thing, like I don't even have that many games that I was going to get ready to sell. Like, I put up a picture of it on my Twitter page, and there wasn't really that much to it. But if you were to add them all up on there, I think there was only like 19 pieces, and that came out to like $2,500 or $3,000, which is like crazy, right? Like that's if you just had like, that's kind of like almost finding like a $20 bill in your couch, right? It's like, you're like, holy cow, like this is how much money that's just like laying around. So I got it together, and the reason it's not necessarily because I'm like done collecting, but it's like I have a little bit of credit card debt, and it's not a lot. Like, there's no interest on the cards. It's just that I don't like having that number just sitting there staring in your face and stuff. Like, I, not in and over my head, but I just like, I'm like, you know what? I'm just tired of like just paying it. Like, I just want to get it down and out of the way, and then take like that monthly payment that I would have made and just put it together and buy something that I want. Like, I want a new PC. Right now I'm editing on my laptop. It's a Core i7 and a RTX or a GTX 1060 Max Q. So the computer isn't like a potato, but the whole point of like having the laptop was to like take it with me on the go and not necessarily be my main computer. And the reason why like I switched was because I had like an older computer with the GTX 970, and like the computer just like started to just slow down, and maybe I just have like a virus or something like that, and I need to like just reformat or do something to that degree. But it's one of those things that would take like an afternoon to do, and I'd have to make sure that everything was all in its place if I wanted to like make sure that I got everything right, because the Adobe licenses are kind of a pain in the butt when it comes to reformatting. But that's pretty much my main thing is like I kind of want to like upgrade my computer. I want to upgrade my desk. That's been a main thing. I really want just like a new desk to fit with the space. Like right now, the current desk is something that I bought from IKEA for the old apartment 3 years ago, or a long time ago. I can't remember the last time when I bought it, but it's been a desk that's been around. It's a good desk, but I want something that's a little bit more utility for what I'm using it now. But so those are the things that, that's the reason why I'm selling. It's not necessarily because I'm just like done with game collecting. It's just like the amount of money that's just sitting there, especially from what I'm selling, and mostly stuff that I'm getting rid of is limited run stuff. Golf Story, the Messenger, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, like those games, like the Messenger is like worth $220 or something. I got it for I actually got 2 copies. It was kind of crazy. When I was doing the first limited run video that I did about pricing back in 2018 or something like that, I bought the Messenger as like I needed B-roll of me buying a game. So I just bought the Messenger again because I got the version from what is it, Strictly Limited or something. They make like really nice packaging and stuff. I forgot what name of the brand is, but like it's such an insane amount of money that it just doesn't make sense to keep as something that you would open up. And like that is one of the things that like kind of ticks me off about modern like game collecting, of how it's gotten so pricey that now you actually start to pay attention to the value. And that is something that I don't really want to think about, because I want to play the games. And so some of this stuff is it's still sealed. You can get it digitally for like a couple of bucks or something. So if I really wanted to play the game, I know that there's like this whole trepidation about what is forever, and just so many people. It's like, well, you only own a license; they can revoke it at any time. It's like, yeah, but at $5 or something, I'm not necessarily gonna cry about it if that happens. Like I'll still be like a little bit miffed if that ever happens, but at one point, like, you have to kind of just understand that like you're not going to play every single game, and it's important to take the money and move it into something that you would enjoy. So I might actually get rid of a couple of other games here. I got Galarian's Ash for the PlayStation 2. I got Silent Hill 2 and 3, Folklore for the PlayStation 3, and Chibi Robo for the GameCube. I might finally get rid of that one, because I don't know if anybody's actually played Chibi Robo outside of like I personally, as like a person who wasn't aware of Chibi Robo when it first came out. I have no nostalgia for it, and I actually I got it way before like even Scott the Woz like started his YouTube channel, and I got it for like $35, because at the time I was like looking through rarer GameCube games, and Chibi Robo had popped up, and I was like, well, I'll keep an eye out for it. That and Billy Hatcher and some other game. Go-Go Hyper Grind was another one that I saw for like $60 or something. I think it was on a Metal Jesus Rocks Hidden Gems video, and at the time I was making a video about Metal Jesus at the time, and I saw Go-Go Hyper Grind was like $60, and I was like, well, it's an Atlas game, I should buy it now, because it's going to be worth more a lot in the future. And I said, no, I don't really want to buy a game to invest, because like I'm not going to sell it. And now it's like $400, and I'm like, hindsight's 2020. But Anyway, these are games that I've never played. Like Silent Hill 2 and 3, like I got those at a thrift store for like a couple of bucks, and I've never popped them. I don't even know if they work. Like that's another thing. I should actually test them before I actually start to sell them. Same thing with Folklore for the PlayStation 3. Like I got that one for $2 or something like that at an estate sale. Or it's like a thrift store that like buys a whole bunch of estates, and I just saw it there and I was like, oh, I'll scoop this up for $3. I'm also getting rid of the Turbo Graphics Mini and the Analog Mega SG. Those, again, like they're expensive items, and like the Turbo Graphics Mini is cool, but I had a Turbo Graphics 16 for ages, and I never really got into the system. Like I had it way before it was a blip on everybody's radar. I got Bonk's Adventure sealed for $9 on Yahoo Auctions, the US Yahoo Auctions back in the day. So to give you an idea of how long it's been since, it's been almost like 20 years since I added that to my collection, and I just never really got into the TurboGrafx 16 just because the games didn't really appeal to me. So, the Mini was cool because I was like, well, if they hack it or anything like that, but it's like, I don't even think people have hacked it, and now it's kind of worth a little bit of money. So I might as well let that one go. And same thing with the Analog Mega SG. It's a Sega Genesis FPGA system. It's a very nice system, but I don't know. Like I've kind of been a little bit disappointed with the offerings from Analog in regards to the Mega SG and the Super NT, and compared to the NT Mini Noir, like the NT Mini Noir is a beautiful system. It's got a lot of features to it. And so then when you get the Mega SG and the Super NT, which I also sold that, the quality just doesn't match like how much it costs, right? It's it's $200, and it gives a good feature, but the other thing is that the analog systems you could play on an HD TV, and that's like one of the biggest reasons why you get it. But I still like playing on my PVM and my CRT. So, I got HD Retrovision cables, and they output the same quality as the Mega SG and thing. So, I was gonna sell those to somebody, but they were like, yeah, like, I want to hack the Mega SG and play some Sega, ROMs on it and play the TurboGrafx. And I was like, why don't you just, because like together that would have been like $500 or something, because I'm selling the Mega SG for $300 and the TurboGrafx Mini for $200, I think. So I was like, why don't you just spend the extra $100, and then when they come in stock, like get a Mister. And the person's like, yeah, you know what, you're right, I should probably get a Mister instead and stuff. Like, I'll pass on the thing. I was like, yeah, no problem. Like, I don't mind. Like, I don't know, I feel bad about like selling things to people who could use their money in a better way, more effectively. I'm like the worst salesman. I mean, if I had if I worked in like a store that sold all that stuff, yeah, I'd probably be a better salesman on that. But it's one of those things. It's like if you own the Mister and stuff, and that's all you want to do is play games, like the Mister is fantastic. And that's one of the things that's helped me a lot, is that FPGA has helped curb that collecting itch in a way where now, unless I really, really want the game, I could just play it digitally, and the FPGA does the trick. because that's one of the other reasons why I started collecting in the first place, was because emulation back when I started collecting, it sucked. So the best way to experience these games was to get them on original hardware. It was never about the value of the games or anything. It was just strictly about playing them the way that they were meant to be played. And now that FPGA has caught up and offers a really good experience for the money, that's, like if I could start, if FPGA was available when, I first started collecting, I probably wouldn't have collected as much. And I really think that, that would be a whole different world if, the FPGA came out, 20 years ago versus now. But yeah, I'll probably put them up on my eBay channel, to sell them. I think I got a Golf Story in the Messenger, or there's some other game that somebody is going to offer me $150 for both of them. So, it's money in the bank. And, as much as like I would like to keep them, it's you have to kind of like understand that this stuff, it's only stuff. And if you want something that you really, really want, you should be able to let go of that stuff. One of the other things that I forgot, I like wrote up this segue and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm going to do this awesome segue and it's going to be great. But one of the things that I also want to buy is a chair, for a desk chair. And I want to get one of those Herman Miller embody chairs. And I was going to be like, okay, speaking of chairs, so the Herman Miller makes like fantastic chairs, and they're expensive. And if you notice this chair, I don't know if you can see it or anything like that, but basically this chair is it's an Eames chair replica. And so Herman Miller back, I forgot, the designer's name is Eames, and they made a lounge chair back in the 60s or something like that, and it's a mid-century modern, it's an iconic chair. Basically, like anybody who it's like a high, anytime you hear like a high-end, like, space and stuff, like a good, like, cigar room, or Frasier had one on his channel and stuff. It's like, or the series and stuff, he had one, and like all these other high-end celebrities, they own this lounge chair. And the thing about the lounge chair is that it's like $10,000. It's a very it's, or $7,500. It's expensive. And so I don't have that amount of money to spend on a chair, and as much as I would like to. But so I have been also like looking at these subreddits called male living space and battle stations. And male living space, it's got the Eames chair is kind of a cliche chair now, but the reason why I got it was because it's comfortable and it's compact too. Because like I thought about like getting like a recliner or a couch or something like that for this room, but the footprint of everything was just too much. So I got the Eames chair, but it's a replica. And I got it when we first got this condo, and I did a review on it back in September of 2020, I want to say. I think it had like 20,000 or something like that views. And then in November, I woke up to an email saying that I got a community guideline strike. And I was like, what the hell? Like, why do I have a community guideline strike? I don't swear in my videos. I don't put any violent video game footage in my videos. I don't talk about controversial topics. Like, I keep the channel is very clean, and like that's one of the reasons why I brought this the podcast onto a second channel instead of being on the main channel, is because if like I want to drop an F-bomb or something, or do things, it won't affect my my eligibility for monetization. Because if you're not familiar with how the monetization works, is that when you publish a video, it asks you, it pre-screens you, just like, did you swear in this video, or did you do all this other stuff? And you're like, no, I didn't, it's all clean. And then they're like, okay. And then they also go back and they check your videos to make sure that you're not full of shit. And like, and the thing is that if you are, like, if you start to like mess with that thing, if you say like you're swearing in one video but you're not, like, then it messes up your whole monetization thing. And like, again, like I only make like $4 or $5 a video or something, but still, like, it's one of those things that I keep it separate. But so I got the community guideline strike, and I was like, what how could I get a community guideline? And there's like, you got a community guideline strike because of the review of the Herman Miller replica chair that you posted on your channel. And I was like, okay, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, I'm looking at it and stuff, and it's like, yeah, you're peddling counterfeit goods. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, it's like, technically, yeah, I mean, I got the chair, it's a replica, and the more and more you kind of like look into it, it's kind of apparent that the company that makes the chair in China also makes the chair for Herman Miller. At least that's kind of like what I've been kind of getting at. It's like, my specific one is not like, it's pretty dang close to what you would find at Herman Miller. It's got the same angle too, because like that's another key part of the chair. It's like, it's specifically ergonomically designed to be like a nice, comfortable lounge chair. But so they striked me, and I was like, oh, like, what happened? And like, I appealed it like really quick. I was like, hey, like, I'm not trying to sell this or anything like that. And they're like, nope, sorry. Like, we got a request to take this down. And if you actually go and you search like Herman Miller replica chairs, there's only like 1 or 2 videos left on the entire YouTube site. Like, they nuked it. Like, so I'm gonna go. I'm not even gonna put it in the keywords here, like, but because I don't want to risk another site. But it was one of those things. It's like, I'm like, okay, well, it's a warning, so it's only a warning. But it's still kind of like, it's really frustrating, because it's like, I, do so many things by the book when it comes to YouTube and stuff. And I know that, other people, they get like demonetized for like the stupidest things. But like a community guideline strike is like a much more serious thing. But it's a warning. This little big red box is going to stick there for the rest of the channel's life, saying that I got a warning on my channel. But it is a good thing, though, that I got it taken down now, because I'll just kind of like add this as a topic too, because I don't know where else I'm going to like put this in the future. But I got approached. So like that video must have had really good SEO, because like a ton of people were coming through and they were like, okay, it got like a significant number of views, and a lot of people were just kind of coming through. And so like I got approached. So I bought the chair from this company called Manhattan Home Design, and they stopped selling the chair a while back. But I got approached by this company called Sohne, Sohne. And they reached out to me and they're like, hey, like, we liked the video that you put on your, on this channel, on this replica. We also sell replicas. Would you be willing to put an affiliate link in the description of the video or like in the pinned comment so that people can buy the chair from us. And I was like, well, I didn't buy the chair from you guys, so I don't really feel that that would be a good look for my reputation, because they were also going to offer me, I think it was like $50 to $100 for each chair sold using my link. And I was like, like, it sounds tempting, but I want to keep at least a little bit of integrity in my channel when it comes to selling people things. So like most of the time if I review a product, I buy it myself, or I make very well sure that I tell people that I got it for purpose of review. I make it very transparent. But when it comes to like directing people to buying something from a company that like I've never heard of, and like I try to look up and they were like brand new, and I was like, well, how about I make a new video, because like the video is based off of this one. I bought it from Manhattan Home Designs. I don't, maybe, you could send me the tall version of the chair and I could compare the two, because there's a tall version and like I think it comes up a little bit more up to your neck or something like that. But technically you're not supposed to, like, the way that the chair is designed, you don't really want to rest your neck against it and stuff. Like, just the way the chair's designed is that your shoulders square up to the pad here, and then it keeps your neck straight. But anyway, I digress. But I kept trying to, I was like, hey, like, why don't you send me the chair? And they're like, well, what if you buy it and then the affiliates will, pay down your thing? And I was like, no, because like, it was like, still like they wanted like $1,000 or something like that for the chair, and I don't need a second one. So I was like, well, if they're going to send me another one, and I told them too, I was like, I will waive the commission, towards the value of the chair if you want to do that. And they're like, no, like, like, here's these other people who, like, there's plenty of other people and they make like hands over fists. You're going to make so much money. I was like, no, because when you do links like that, like the conversion rate of somebody clicking your link is very, very low. And at the time, the video had only been getting like 30 to 40 views a day or something like that. So maybe one person clicks on that link, and then how many people are actually going to buy it using that link? So, and there's no way for me to like guarantee that this company isn't full of beans and is going to scam the people that I send there. So I'm glad that communications did break down, because if I had made a second video on a second Eames chair, I would have gotten another community strike, and like that would have been like a first strike, and like those strikes they're pretty devastating towards your channel too. Like you prevent you from uploading for a week. You can't do a lot of stuff for a full week, and then like it's very stressful too, because if you get any more, then you could lose your channel for good. Obviously I'm not going to link to any, like, Manhattan Home Design is the one that I bought it from first, and they don't even sell it. And it's most likely because Herman Miller, like, came after anybody who was attempting to sell those chairs and just, like, nuked them. I don't even know if you can find them on Amazon anymore. So it looks like they're not going scorch earth, but, like, I think, like, they also can't call them Eames chairs. Like, they call them, like, mid-century lounge chairs or something like that. And I think that's, like, one of the bigger things that I got nuked for. But anyway, I mean, it is what it is. But like, this chair is still really comfortable. I mean, I got like I got the Annalee leather and everything. I didn't get the polyurethane like pleather or anything like that. Like, I got actual leather. It is what it is. But I mean, it's a lesson for all you kids out there trying to make content and stuff, is be wary of certain companies, especially if you're a small channel. Like I definitely, I've gotten approached by a handful of channels, or not, just a handful of companies that they're shady as heck. Like, they want you to buy, or they want you to review their crappy Amazon Switch accessories or something like that. And like, it's always spooky when they send you a link in the email too, because like that could be like a phishing link to hijack your channel too. So I'm always like worried about it, because I mean, I only have 7,500 subscribers, and you know, I've been asked, you know, a handful of times like, hey, like we want to work with you and we want to pay you. And I was like, you don't have something that my viewers would be interested in buying, first of all. And second, like, you know, like the amount of traffic that you're going to be able to get driven to your site is going to be even more minuscule, because like I'm just a small channel. So like, I mean, I don't turn down things for purpose of review. I got that grid frame, and I got a handful of like digital codes for games, and I got Coffee Crisis for the Sega Genesis from Mega Cat Studios. So, you know, I don't turn down those things, but the way that my channel has now like evolved, reviews don't hit the way that I want them to on the channel. Like again, like I don't do stuff for views, but it like it's very obvious that the content that I want for like reviews is not necessarily worth anybody's time, because nobody on my channel watches it. And that's another thing about YouTube in general, is that you want your current subscribers to return to watch every single one of your videos. Like, you don't want them to like just come for one video, subscribe, and then not come back for any of your other content. Like, you want them to keep coming back. And like, you know, that's one of the reasons why I hate I really hated when that Atari VCS video went viral. Maybe I'll talk about that one later, but yeah, you know, I'll just talk about it now. But you know, like anytime that I get a video that goes viral for something that's not what the main focus of my channel is, it irks me to no end, because it's like, because I did the Atari VCS video. That Atari VCS video popped off, got like 60,000 views within a week or something stupid. And so then like I did like a follow-up video about Atari, about the interface overview, and then I did a RAM expansion thing. And then it was like at the end of the year, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do an update video. And that got like 300 views. And I was like, okay, well, those don't get too much views, whatever. Then I was like, okay, I'm going to follow it with a Game Boy review. And that bombed. It like, you know, I had 100,000 views, then 15,000, then another 8,000, then 300, then 100. And I was like, ouch. Like, okay, message received. Like, dang, like, okay, like, you know, same thing with any other reviews. Like, they barely crack 100 views. Like, if you go back and you look at, I think, let's see here, the Combinera video 10 months ago, 247 views. Then I had a Bayonetta one, not Bayonetta, Blood Rain Terminal Cut, 1.2K in a year. It isn't too bad, but like, you know, that's one of the reasons why I don't do reviews. You know, the Demio's Jukebox review only got 474 views and stuff. It's like, so it's not worth my time. And, you know, I've gotten approached by some people wanting me to review their indie game or something. And I just like, I push them to somebody else that has a more engaged audience when it comes to that kind of content, because, you know, ultimately, like, I want to help indie people as much as possible too. Like, I don't really want to just like take their game and just like have a free game, like, you know, and so it's worth their time to like make sure that you're giving it to a key that a person has like an engaged audience. Like, you don't really want to just like do a shotgun blast and then, you know, spend a whole bunch of money and not have a return on it. But Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. Let me know what you think about this thing. I really didn't think that I would have a lot to talk about, and we're already close to an hour here. So let me know what you guys think about the topics here. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share the podcast with anybody who might find it interesting. And, make sure you follow me on Twitter. It's at snicktendo. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode next week.